So today I have 4 new projects for you. Now I don't have a whole lot of process footage, but I hope that you will still enjoy it. The first one is this dragon head that I constructed inside an old wooden frame. I used an old newspaper from 1960 something for the background, and I kept the date here on the back just in case somebody who gets this eventually is interested. Like always, I layered lots of plastic elements and added lots of details, including these movable whiskers. He also has 2 shutters for his eyes that move. And here you can see just a wee bit of the first steps I took to get him started. Aside from this odd-shaped lid, which I used as a base, I also worked with bottle tops and kids' toys, some other household packaging and items, but also some styrofoam shapes, which I just recently picked up at a thrift store. Those really helped to give this guy some great horns. I also used some Halloween teas from the dollar store to start forming his jaw. After a few more layers of plastic bits, I topped off the frontier with another one of those electric shavers covers, and that more or less completed the basic shape. But of course it took lots more details until he looked like this. You may recognize the Barbie arms I used for some of his horns. Next, I added charms, broken jewelry, and other metal bits to bring more texture into the piece before I spray painted it black. And then, like always, I worked on him with my metallic Prima waxes. I also added some bright blue bling pieces and some gold leafing just here and there. I also painted his eyes and of course his tongue, which by the way was the tail end of a little plastic snake, a little toy. I worked with many rather ordinary bits and pieces, like the plastic spoons for his eyelids. I incorporated screws and drill bits, lots of toys, including these eye shutters that came from a Lego set. I also found a Halloween necklace with plastic teeth. Those are part of his horns. I also used the tops of my E6000 glue tubes, and here on the bottom even some fabric and some push buttons from my sewing kit, and so on. And here you can see that I incorporated even more teeth than what you saw originally. It makes him look a bit menacing, but for a dragon I think that was the vibe I was going for. So here are some photos, and then on to the next project. And here is my beetle. He was created in a very rustic frame, and I added a new piece of wood to the back. I created the background by using an old painting of mine, and I think it fits well to the bug in color and design. And it was a great way to repurpose my own art, which on its own was really not that great. And here's just one picture I have of how this guy started. Cardboard base, some plastic pieces, and beads and wires for his legs. I, of course, included my charms and different jewelry bits to pretty him up. His shell was a miniature baseball cap. I cut off the rim, I cut it in half, and I mounted it on 2 pieces of Lincoln logs. As you can see on the inside, there is a workable light that blinks in different colors. The other mechanical looking bits inside him are unpainted for better contrast, and the screws I used to attach the shelf also act as hinges, and it makes them open and close rather smoothly. He was, of course, worked on color-wise the same way I do on my other pieces. I even included some purple. So here are some photos again for you. And on to yet another piece. Here I used a nice sturdy canvas frame. I added some cardboard to the back in order to give it more sturdiness, and I worked with my acrylic paints to create this background. I used different stencils and stamps and splatter, lots of different colors. I love all the nuances and I really had fun creating it, as I don't work with my paints all that much anymore. And then I created these dimensional pieces, the tree as well as the possums, and I made them separately. And when they were all dried and sturdy, I added them to the finished canvas. Now, I actually had some footage of how I made the tree and somehow lost it, but I do have a little bit of how I created these possums. I started with different size bottle tops, a big one for this one and two smaller ones for the other one. I added paper mache to keep it all together. The heads are made from kitchen foil. Here I cut some slits so I can include these little leaf-shaped jewelry bits. I use blink for noses and ear studs for eyes, and pieces from a wooden dowel for legs. As these critters are quite small, I kept the shapes very simple. I did use my charms and my jewelry bits to dress them up. I used wires to shape their tails. I also added some chain for extra stability. Here's some texture paste. Then they're ready to get spray painted and of course get treated with my waxes, a few details, and they're done. Now here is the tree from the back, and as I said, sorry, no footage, but it was twisted together by using different pieces of rope, some chains, and lots of glue, and then just some acrylic paint. And I had to glue it down in bits and pieces not to mess up my background. So more photos and one more project to cover. And last not least, here is my frog. Now he went into a nice sturdy big picture frame, and I used some leftover wipe up paper towels for the background. I had it forever and it was just the perfect color, I think. So to break it up a little bit and to give it a little more dimension, I added these sticks. Now these are actual branches. I added some cheesecloth to them and color for extra texture and interest. And my little frog has beady eyes. I added some sand to the bits and pieces I used to decorate him for just a more rough surface. I like his stance, and he is going for a fly, which is right up here inside the frame. It's a little jewelry piece. And here you can see how he started. I used very tiny bits and pieces of plastic, nails and bling for his feet. I of course cut them out then and treated them like I do all the other pieces before I added them to the background. I really hope that you enjoyed today's collection of new projects. I try to be back soon with more.